Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. I'm your host, John Keane. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out, www.spreaker.com/user/Best Damn Podcast. Also check out the bestdampodcast.tv. Follow me, Instagram, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, please make sure to subscribe, follow, hit that like, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and share this link. Share it, get it out there, so new people can find us. Also, hey, how's it going, guys? Also, consider donating, supporting to the channel. PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, Cash App, Facebook Messenger Pay, and you can get access to exclusive content, which I believe tomorrow I will be doing the next private show. So if that's something you're into, then hey, I'm into it too. Let's see who we have here. And let me move my light so I can see you guys. Looks like we have Claudette Malespina, Jeffrey Cook over on Facebook Live, Biblical Smackdown over on D Live, Eric Ebu Elliott number 2. What happened to the original? Larry Branham. Well, hello, Mr. Branham. Thank you, Mr. Keene. I feel like a grown-up when people call me Mr. Keene. Mandy, Higher Mind, 1111, Brian Harris, Teresa Lee, Slay the Day, what a cool one. CR User, awesome guys. Patty Statler, Count Wilhelm, Donna Milligan, and Donna Marie Farrell. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Hopefully, you guys can see me and hear me fine, and we have no technical difficulties tonight. That would be beautiful. Like I told you guys, I am back at it. So tonight we're going to be getting into some prophecies. This is my shit right here, guys, and we're going to ask the question, is it prophecy or programming? And I've got a bunch of fucking obscure prophecies that are really cool, so yeah. Particularly, we're going to be focusing on Nostradamus and Zetatalk, which I know, not everybody's a fan of, the Zeta stuff, but, this is kind of how I think we should be doing everything. Like, we never should rule out something until we have weighed it and measured it and given it a chance and seen it all the way through. And that's what we have to do with prophecies, information, and sometimes people, right? I do want to tell you guys, though, I'm very, very grateful just to be able to come to you tonight, man, and grateful for all the love, because our world right now, it's a cold place. And it's very important that we have each other, right? Because people like us, we don't fit, when it comes to society and, the standards they set and the social status and hierarchy that they create. It's like we're a square peg in a round hole. Most of us are the black sheeps of our family. A lot of us have tasted betrayal, pain, hurt, all of these things, probably from the start of life. So we have a tough road. One that we've already been on and one that's still ahead of us. And in my opinion, the only way to truly overcome is through love. It's always through love, right? And it's important that we love ourselves, number one. And if you truly do love yourself, then you will allow yourself to be who you are, no matter who's around, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're going, because you were made the way you were for a reason. We all have this greater purpose, this greater calling within us, and it's up to us to find, that love inside and where it resonates within the world and take that path. I appreciate you guys. Oh, Global Witness is in the house. Well, I love Global Witness. Super chat. Thank you. Thank you. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. Yes, we have a show coming up together. Awesome. Yeah, I love Derek Bros, Global Witness. He's a cool dude, man. What about Edgar Casey? Um, I put this as a part one because obviously there's so many prophetical things that we will be doing a part two. So I guarantee Edgar Casey makes it in there. I guarantee it. So we're gonna get into this, but I mean it, guys. Like, this is a very, very important time for all of us to find ourselves and all of us to essentially overcome whatever it is that's in our way, whatever it is that's stopping us from growing, from changing, from evolving, from being more, and living up to the potential that's within each and every one of us. Like, we're all so unique, and it's so crazy that so many beautiful people can be gathered together in like mind. And, we look at the rest of the world and just look at them, man. Look at them. I mean, they're miserable, most of them. They're oblivious to all of the things that are taking place right now. Clueless. The seeds they sow are rotten to the core. If it doesn't serve them, then they want nothing to do with it. It takes special people, like really special people, to be able to do what we're trying to do here, which is, ascend past this, all of this, the illusion, the duality, what we call reality. It takes thinking, living, and being on another level, another plane, And sometimes it's really hard, and I think the hardest part of all of this, at least for me, is letting go the things that don't serve us. We get used to things. We get in routines. We develop habits and attachments to people, places, things, all of this. And sometimes, guys, the only way to really be free is to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore, what holds you back, what holds you down, what keeps you from becoming and blooming into that beautiful flower, or turning into that awesome butterfly that you're trying to become. So everybody, tonight, while we're looking at this stuff, don't allow fear to creep into your mind, because it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to inform you, because we fear what we don't understand. And hopefully, if we do this right, it will inspire you to take advantage of the moment you're in, because you're in a very special time, and to take advantage of the fact that you've been chosen for something, right? Or you wouldn't be knowing the things that you know. You wouldn't be aware why the rest of the world sleeps. It's got to say something to you, right? Like, it's got to mean something to you. A lot of people on YouTube, they put out content just to put it out. They play the spiritual game because they think it's trendy, but there's no trend to it. This is a way of life, and this is a way of being, and you can't just have your toe in the water. You got to be all in or nothing, because the world won't allow you to do it any other way. It won't allow you to do it any other way. So, be true to yourself, man. Be true to yourself. Let's check it out. Blessed and Catherine Emmerich's prophecy on the two popes. And this is the prophecy of the two popes. And like I said, guys, I've got a bunch of them tonight. No one wants to talk to me because they don't believe me. Yes, I am the black sheep. Yeah, man. Forgiving the one who hate the most and forgiving ones, yes. And letting go of the inconsequential things in life. Thank you, Mandy, for the super sticker. Um, Para character jumping up and down, saying number one fan. Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah, man. If you're not willing to die for what you believe in, then you don't deserve it. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Oh, I think the hardest thing about this world and life in general is the ability to continue to love. Like, honestly, there's nothing that's harder to hold on to when everything is so chaotic. You know, you see, there's death and destruction and deception and all of this everywhere. It's hard to hold on to that part of yourself, right? People, lie, cheat, steal, all of these things. And I think that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us special, apart from the rest of the world, is that they have grown cold. They've grown cold. And we have taken the darkness and we've transmuted it, right, into light and into love. And that's what shields us against all of these things that are taking place right now. It is our love. It is our light. That's what protects us. It's what keeps you safe at night. That's what guides you. That's your compass in life. That's what the universe uses to pull you in the direction you're supposed to go. And sometimes that direction is one that you didn't expect. Right? We always feel like we got it all figured out, and it's like we think we know some shit until we find out we don't know shit. Right? So, Jahar Lee, thank you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. So much selfishness and arrogance and narcissistic behavior. Well, that's just, I think narcissism is a result of a broken soul, right? A fractured or fragmented soul, right? They don't have the ability to connect to source, so they're not connected to everyone else, right? They've disconnected. And that's what an empath is someone that's got that connection to God and to everyone else. So they can put themselves in the place of another person, and they can feel that pain or understand that hurt or whatever the person is going through, and they can have empathy for them, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Yes, let go and forgive. Yeah, no doubt. And that's what you have to do. The letting go is forgiving. I think when we hold on to things, and especially unforgiveness and all of that, gosh, it's a poison, right? And it's like drinking poison and expecting it to kill your enemy. That's what unforgiveness is like to me. Right? When we have that in our heart, it's like we drink poison and we expect it to kill the person that hurt us or that stole from us or whatever, right? It makes no sense. The only person that is ever harmed by harboring bad feelings is you. It is beautiful. Yeah, well, I'm happy because I'm happy because I know what time it is. I know what time it is, and I know who I am. That's what makes me happy. That's what makes me happy. Love makes me happy. Love makes me happy. In all of its forms. Right? That's what keeps us going. That's what makes it all worth it. Like, if we don't have love within, and we have to have it in us, within ourselves. I'm not even talking about love from another person, right? Most of the time, what people call love or say is love don't really measure up. But when you can see yourself the way that God sees you, then you can love yourself, you know. And when you can love yourself, you can love other people. And I think that's the problem. Most people don't love themselves, so they don't know how to love another person. And when they face real love, I think it scares them maybe. Or, they just, a lot of people can't deal with the emotions and shit. They've been programmed and broken and abused by the television and all this shit, right? And it's created a bunch of zombies. I mean, people are fucking monstrous on the inside now. And the terrible black hearts that they have, right? Like, we still have to love them. We still have to love them. We still have to forgive them. We still have to, be the person that exemplifies, the spirit. And if we show them that our way is the right way, then I believe they'll come around. Oh, come on, man. Let me block you, bud. Sex bots in my chat? Cool. Yep, you didn't get much. Okay, well, let's get into this. Now, good shall be trodden upon. The good shall be trodden upon. And this is the prophecy on the two popes. My child and my children of grace, remember in the days ahead, your world and your country shall appear to all those in the light as though insanity has come upon them. My child and my children of grace, remember in the days ahead, your world and your country shall appear to all those in the light as though insanity has come upon them. The good shall be trodden upon, and the evil ones shall gain in worldly goods. And until all voices cry to heaven, Lord, Lord, when shall you send your vengeance upon them? Why do the wicked go about their way and gain while they trod underfoot the godly? My children, the Eternal Father has a way that no human mind or man could understand. He is patient. He is all-suffering and long-suffering, never wishing that one should be lost to Satan. The world's peoples will cry, and where is his coming? They await, my son, but for what? Are they ready for him? No, I say unto you, if you receive tomorrow the chastisement, 3/4 of mankind will be destroyed without deliverance. Is that what you want, my children? There will be an uncanonically elected pope who will cause a great schism, and there will be diverse thoughts preached, which will cause many, even those in the different orders, to doubt. Yea, even agree with those heretics, which will cause my order to divide. Then will be such a universal dissension and persecutions that if those days were not shortened, even the elect would be lost. Now, these are from our, remember in yesterday's show, Fatima, Our Lady, right? Virgin Mary. And this one is of St. Francis. But these are incredibly accurate to what's taking place right now. The evil are the ones that are rich and powerful in this moment. And the good people are the ones that are being shit on. Right? Being run the fuck over. And that's because the state of the world. That's the state of the world. And that's where we are with all of this. This is the time of the birthing pangs where, remember, I've told you this, how It's stress. It's stress that acts as an antagonist to stimulate our growth. It's darkness. We need darkness in order to challenge us to overcome. Right? And this is, it's like the seed put in the soil, right? It's covered in darkness. Just covered. No light to be found. And it's got to fight and claw its way to the top. And when it finally reaches the light, it just shoots up and it blossoms and it blooms into something beautiful. And that's where we're at right now. We're that seed and we're struggling, but we're almost there. Some of us have reached the light and are starting to blossom. We're starting to bloom, right? And what we see around us now is the collective shadow that's left behind. As we leave this world, as we transcend into something higher on a conscious level, on a spiritual level, the only thing that we leave behind is the shadow, the false self. That's why two are in the field and one is taken. It's this one. This one's taken. The physical you is taken. Taken means killed. It's killed because the higher self, the I am, has devoured it, has transmuted it, and turned it into light, turned it into spirit, turned it into something better, right? This is incorruptibility, right? Taking off the corrupted, right? Now, let's get into some of this. I saw very clearly the errors of the observations and the countless sins of men. I saw the folly and the wickedness of their actions against all truth and reason. Priests were among them, and I gladly endured my suffering so that they may return to a better mind. And this is Blessed Anne Catherick Emirates, and she was a mystic and stigmatist, and was something beatified in 2004. Sorry. I had another vision, and you guys can see the dates here. Sorry. That one was March 22nd, 1820. This is April 12th, 1820. And it says, and I had another vision of the Great Tribulation. It seems to me that a concession was demanded from the clergy which could not be granted. I saw many older priests, especially one who wept bitterly. A few younger ones were also weeping, but others, and the lukewarm among them, really did what was demanded. It was as if people were splitting into two camps. Wow. See, we see this right now. We've already seen a lot of these things that she's talking about take place, right? We watched our nation and everyone around us fucking divide. Right? Straight into two. Left and right paradigm. Now they're dividing once again, right? Vaxxed and unvaxxed. Right? It's divide and conquer. That's duality. That you're falling for the fucking illusion when you buy into that stuff. You know? And people don't get it. They don't see it. They don't understand. Like, you were told that brother would be against brother. Right? Husband against wife. Yet, I guess for whatever reason, because the church tells them that these things couldn't possibly be taking place because you haven't been raptured, then they must not be. Right? It must not be happening because the church says it can't. Because you're not supposed to be here for it. Yet Christ says that those who endure to the end will be saved. I saw how helpful and harmful would be the consequences of this false church. I saw it increase in size. Heretics of every kind come into the city. The local clergy grew lukewarm, and I saw a great darkness. Then the vision seemed to extend on every side. Whole Catholic communities were being oppressed, harassed, and confined and deprived of their freedom. I saw many churches close down, great miseries everywhere, wars and bloodshed. A wild and ignorant mob took violent action, but it did not last long. Once more I saw that the church of Peter was undermined by a plan evolved by the secret sect, while storms were damaging it. But I also saw that help was coming when distress had reached its peak. I saw again the Blessed Virgin ascend on the church and and spread her mantle over it. Well, I don't know about the Blessed Virgin, but I think we can all probably safely say that distress is reaching its peak now. And if we look at the Cobra and what it talks about the coming of the destroyer, the help that everybody is expecting or waiting on might not be the help that they think they want, right? They talk about in the Cobra that the heralds of doom are what will arrive, and that mankind won't recognize them for who they are. I've got some other prophecies we're about to get into in a second that talks about extraterrestrials. We have also looked at Revelations and Exodus and, the entities that are coming out of the north, which means out of the deep or the hidden, or space. God's angels, right? His army. This is all part of Judgment Day. Remember the great and terrible day of the Lord. Great for a few, terrible for most. Why does it even happen? Well, because man's tribulation. Man, through their fucked up ass ways, is doing all the things that you see taking place right now. And I mean, are we surprised? Are we surprised that this is the path that man has chosen? You shouldn't be. If you are, you shouldn't be. You say, well, why would we do this or why would we do that? Why would we go in the direction we're going? Why would we self-destruct? Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Look at the way people treat each other. Like we have become godless. And not in a religious sense. In a sense of nobody has a moral compass anymore. There is and I don't like to use guilt and shame or anything like that, but there's no conscience, right, for the things that people do. There's no conscience. There's no, we see nations just oppress their people over and over and over till they have nothing left and they're enslaved. We see armies go truck down innocent people and murder them. These are human beings that are carrying out these fucking acts. Right? How are they able to do it? Well, because they do it in their normal lives, probably in various, ways that are different than what we see on the grand scale. People get used to, because they've been conditioned and desensitized and all of this through television and movies and, the symbolism that they're pumping through, that brainwashing box you call a TV. And it gets them in this mentality or this mind state to where I think they just become numb, right? Like they're numb. There's no, we got this sensor, this radar that goes off. When it comes to when we're doing something wrong. It's our conscience. It's the voice of God speaking to us and saying, hey, what are you doing? They don't have that. They're out of touch with that. And if they do have it, most of them will ignore it because they want to just satisfy the urges of power and lust and greed and all of these different things that have been used to enslave humanity to the extent that we find ourselves now, right? It's like, I wonder sometimes if it ever could have went any other way, right? Could it ever have been any other way? I don't think so. I think Adam and Eve kicking it in the garden was just too easy. We would have stayed like that forever. There would have been no growth, no change, no evolution. The evil had to come about because that's what pushes us up to a higher level, a higher place. We had to see both sides of the coin. We had to experience both. Right? And you have to know darkness to know what light is. You have to know hate to understand love. Like, we need these things. That way we can make a real choice. That's the free will. It's not free will to just be in one single state, right? Where you're like, oh, I'm born into this beautiful paradise and this garden here, and I have no fucking clue that I even have a choice. That's not free will, right? That's enslavement too. It's just a happy enslavement. But to know, to experience, to be able to choose, that's free will. And that's what creates our destiny. That's what creates our fate. Right? Is those choices. That's how we navigate our way back to the Father, back to the source. And each one of us have a different destiny. Each one of us can choose different paths along the road of fate. And we can have different outcomes. We control the outcome. And you know, the way that things are manifesting right now, the way that things are intensifying right now, I think a lot of people should be very careful, you know, with what they're choosing. Because that's what you will get. Right? You see what's happening. They're leaving you no choice. By they, I mean the governments and the powers that be and all of that. They're leaving you no choice. The line is drawn in the sand. They're saying, oh, you want to keep your job, you want to keep your house, you want to stay in the world? Well, take this mark. People make excuses. People make excuses to stay in the world. Oh, well, I got to do it for my kid, or I got to do it for this, or no, you don't. No, you don't. You're choosing to. They did not love their lives so much that they were afraid to die. That means let go of it all. Nothing in this place is worth you. Nothing is. Not one fucking thing you'll find here is worth you. You know? It's sad to see the choices people are making right now. Definitely. I saw the Holy Father surrounded by traitors and in great distress about the church. He had visions and apparitions in his hour of greatest need. I saw many good pious bishops, but they were weak and wavering. Their cowardice often got the upper hand. Then I saw darkness spreading around and people no longer seeking the true church. How about that? They're not seeking it now. I see more martyrs. Not now, but in the future. And remember, this is 1820. I saw the secret sect relentlessly undermining the great church. Near them I saw a horrible beast coming up from the sea. All over the world, good and devout people, especially the clergy, were harassed, oppressed, and put into prison. I had the feeling that they would become martyrs one day. When the church had been, for the most part, destroyed by the sect of Freemasons, and when only the sanctuary and altar were still standing, I saw the wreckers enter the church with the beast. There they met a woman of noble carriage who seemed to be with child because she walked slowly. At this sight, the enemies were terrorized, and the beast could not take but another step forward. It projected its neck towards the woman as if to devour her, but the woman turned about and bowed down toward the altar, her head touching the ground. Thereupon, I saw the beast taking to flight towards the sea again, and the enemies were fleeing in the greatest confusion. Then I saw in the great distance a great legion approaching. In the foreground I saw a man on a white horse. Prisoners were set free and joined them. All enemies were pursued. Then I saw that the church was being promptly rebuilt, and she was more magnificent than ever before. Wow. They're describing Revelations 12, right? The woman and the dragon. That's what this is. They're saying, right here, the beast that come up out of the sea, the woman of noble carriage who seemed to be with child, right? She's noble because she's a virgin, right? It's Virgo. With child, Jupiter. This is the great sign, September 23rd, 2017. At this sight, the enemies were terrorized, and the beast could not take another step forward. It projected its neck towards the woman as if to devour her. But the woman turned about and bowed down toward the altar. And think about it, it's come to devour the child, a male child, who will rule the nations with an iron rod or an iron scepter. And saying how when this sign comes about, that this will bring terror upon darkness. Like they know the time is up, that we are going to become who we are, right? And it's happening, by the way. If you can't tell, then you're blind. Or if you can't tell, maybe it's not happening to you. Which, sorry about that. My bad. But you can see here also, it says that in the foreground I saw a man on a white horse, and a great legion approaching. Prisoners were set free and joined them. Behold, he's coming on the clouds, right? Every eye will see him, right? All of that. This is the saints, the elect, the 144,000 that are prisoners or dead, have been killed, joining, this return of God upon the earth, Christ, if you will, right, upon the earth. And that's what brings destruction to the world. That's what destroys the whole Babylonian system, in this system of darkness and evil. It's the return of Christ. It's the return of awareness, the return of consciousness, the return of spirit. And it comes through us. It comes through people. And shit, we may see an entity, representing Jesus. We might see that. I don't fucking know, right? But I do know that we're seeing it within each one of us. Each one of us is Jesus too. Each one of us is Christ too. And each one of us are representing the Spirit of God, the true Spirit of God, the true church, which is us. We are bringing that, now. And that's what brings the persecution. That's what brings the destruction. They're trying to put the light out before it spreads, because it does. Social distancing, you think that that's really about, a virus? Fuck no. Your heart generates the largest electromagnetic field of your body, right? And it creates a 6-foot radius. Social distancing, 6 foot. Why? Because we're connected consciously, right? And if you get close to me, you feel my vibe, right? And if I'm on a higher frequency, then you're going to connect to that frequency, and it's going to take you higher. That's why it's always about us lifting each other up and being connected to the all. I see the Holy Father in great anguish. He lives in a palace other than before, and he admits only a limited number of friends near him. I fear that he will suffer many more trials before he dies. I see that the false church of darkness is making progress, and I see the dreadful influence it has on the people. The Holy Father and the church are verily in so great a distress that one must implore God night and day. I have been told to pray much for the church. Last night I was taken to Rome. Okay, I don't want to read that one. Okay, I do not know what manner. I saw an apparition of the Mother of God, and she said that the tribulation would be very great. She added that people must pray fervently with outstretched arms, but only long enough to say 3 Our Fathers. This was the way her son prayed for them on the cross. Now let's move forward here. I want to get into the Zeta stuff. I don't know what you guys think about it. I know I've been hitting you with all the Catholic shit in the last video and this one, so I don't want to, bury you with it. But I think it's so interesting that, these people, they were these prophets, and notice like all of them are women too, right? Every last one of them. You see in the Bible, it's always men that are the prophets, but anytime we look at the Vatican and the Catholic Church, it's like it seems like it's always women that have these these great visions and are the seers, And a lot of what they say, and I believe this with my whole heart, that Scripture, ancient texts, all of it, the reason that it's so true, the reason that it comes to life is because we put the life in it, right? Through our words. Just like God breathed life into us, and in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and all of that. The same process is taking place when we speak something, when we write something, when we do something, we give life to things. The sad part is most people don't have life in them, right? Instead of becoming or being creators, they become consumers, right? They no longer have the ability to create the magic that is them. And I'm not talking about witchcraft or anything like that. People all the time say, oh, that's witchcraft, that's magic. It's all magic. Every bit of it. Everything is created out of spirit. So this whole damn place and everything you see here is a magical illusion. That's why it's not real. That's why it's temporary. Every spell eventually wears off, right? Every spell. Doesn't matter how powerful the spell, how long you were under it. Could be thousands of years, right? We woke up from a spell called the God spell, or the gospel. It's these words, right? It's the words that we read. These are the spells. These are the sounds. We're speaking frequency into one another when we speak words. Speaking vibration into one another when we speak words. We're speaking thoughts. We're speaking intention into one another when we speak words. And you guys will remember Dr. Miyamoto, the scientist from Japan, who showed that our words and our thoughts and all of that, it has our intent has a direct effect on the physical environment, right? When they took the water and they flash froze it after saying positive and negative things to it. It was symmetrical and beautiful when you said something positive like I love you, and it went all distorted and abstract when you said something negative. Now let's go into this. This is the Zetatalk website. I'm going to actually drop the link down in the chat for you guys. And we're going to begin with the vision first. Let's go into the vision first. Smash that like Yeah, that's right. You rebuke the demons every day. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Generations of spells, no doubt. Generations of spells. Guys, and that's the thing. Like, we put ourselves under spells. Like, what do you think happens when you lie to yourself? That's what a spell is. It's a lie. Right? It's a lie. Every bit of demonic and darkness and all of that, like, the power they have is an illusion. What gets you burnt with witchcraft and magic and darkness in general is believing that it has power or dominion to start with. Believing that it's real to start with. Believing that it's true to start with. That's what puts you under the shadow. That's what puts you under the spell. Right? Knowing this, and that's why the truth will set you free. Knowing this empowers you and allows you to understand that, or understand that you're not subservient to anyone or anything, any entity, only the source, because that's who you are. That's where you come from. It is in you. Yes. Amen. Yeah, no doubt. Spells and curses don't work on the good that don't believe in curses. Yeah, well, I've seen curses and spells work on good people. I have. And you know why? Because they believe they could. They believe they could. I've been under spells. I've been under curses. I've been hexed 1 billion times, guys, for doing this. People attack me all the time. It seems like every year at least one terrible fucking tragic thing happens to my life as a result of doing this, because I walk into some bullshit trap, And what usually gets me into it is, leaving my heart wide open, I think sometimes we assume, and this is why I feel like most people don't believe that the government's corrupt and that there is, this conspiracy amongst secret societies for a new world order and all of this, because we see the world as a reflection of ourselves, right? And we project ourselves into everything we see, because that's what we are seeing is ourselves. It's a projection of the inside. So a lot of times we'll, when we look at the governments and powers that be, and we say, well, I wouldn't do that, so you won't believe that they would do it. Yes, knowing this is breaking the spells, no doubt. Yeah. Well, and here's the only burden you carry are the ones you put on yourself. Absolutely. And that's what I mean. Sometimes we're not willing to look at situations, especially when they're hard or they're not what we want them to be. We're not willing to look at them for what they are and say, okay, this is bad, this is dark, this is wrong, right? We want to project ourselves into it and say, oh, well, if that was me, well, I wouldn't be like this. And we can do it in the inverse too. We can assume a lot of times that, people are bad or things are guilty or wrong because we feel that inner guilt or shame about ourselves. So, it goes both ways. All things go both ways. Now, here's Nancy's vision. This is the Zeta vision, so bear with me. I am looking down on the earth from space, but I am just far enough out to be able to see all horizons at once. Essentially, positioned over North America, I see a line moving from the North Pole to just off the bulge of Brazil out in the Atlantic Ocean. Then the earth turns beneath me towards the east until I am positioned somewhere over the Pacific, so that I can see the end point of a line moving from the South Pole to the center of India. Now over India, the earth turns, so I am taking a trip in the skies back toward North America. As I pass over Southeast Asia, I notice that the land along the seacoast is disappearing, being eaten away, as it were, by the water. This is happening all along the coastline, as far as my view can record, from north of Korea to Indonesia. Indonesia essentially disappears in this manner. Australia has been affected even before the eating away of the coastline started, as the entire western half appears to be underwater. As the western coast of North America hovers into view, I see that the entire coastline of North America, from what I assume to be California up to Canada, is raised sharply above the waterline. Central America is underwater. Where I assume San Francisco to be, there is a waterfall. The coastline is not green, but appears a beige color. As I pass over the United States, I see the southeastern coast being eaten away in the same manner as Southeast Asia. Florida is gone, as is the eastern coast all the way into the Appalachian Mountains. The deep south is underwater. Now the vision changes the position of the earth as it turns beneath me, so that I pass along familiar land masses. As I pass up through Canada and over the landmass of Greenland, I see that Europe appears to be a series of islands. Moving along over the continent, I see India, or where it used to be, already frosting over. India is completely underwater. Then I pass over a landmass I don't recognize. Antarctica? Which has no greenery whatsoever. Following this, I am given a vision of a house in what seems to be a hot, desert-like place, with a dry wind blowing, and I am told this will occur in the late spring or early summer, and it's dated. The earth will be hot and still. I can see in the vision that there is a red glow over everything. I am told there will be crop failures worldwide due to drought for 3 years in a row at this time. Now, let's see some of these notes here. Our emissary Nancy has relayed this vision we gave to her regarding the cataclysms. The cataclysms result from the magnetic pull of a giant comet, which in fact is a planet of our solar system. The body of this planet surpasses in mass that of Earth. The comet will pass on its first swing through your solar system, between the Earth and the Sun. No collision is possible, as the orbits do not intersect. However, coming in from outer space, as it were, the comet is not magnetically aligned with the close-knit group orbiting the Sun. The comet is aligned with the larger arena, where it spends most of its cycle, some 3,657 years on average. As the comet approaches your solar system, it speeds up, so it retains its magnetic alignment when whizzing through. Being of greater mass than the Earth, it is not affected by Earth's magnetic alignment. The Earth is not so fortunate. The first pass will occur by our calculations, and this is not true. This hasn't happened. And they actually are giving you a thing showing where the date's different, the explanation. And all the cataclysms expected will occur during this pass. Tidal waves, earthquakes of a magnitude 15 Richter point, and a cloud of volcanic dust that will make the atmosphere dense as dusk for decades. A second pass will occur some 7 or more years later, and the second pass brings a comet outside of your solar system, but a second set of cataclysms occur at that time. Now, what I think is interesting about this is that they're putting the passing of the Planet X system literally 7 years apart. I don't know if that's, something that any of the scripture kind of supports or anything like that, right? But I do feel like we will probably see this thing. At least we know through the Bible that there's going to be a couple of major events that will take place, and it sounds as if like either in the wake of Planet X coming, or Didymus and Dimorphos, right? These comet-like planets with a moon. However, it's, we don't know for sure if this is Jupiter, Saturn. We don't know if this is, Comet Inky. We don't know what it is, right? Nobody knows, so anybody saying they know is a liar, right? So, sorry, my hair's coming out of my hat. So anyone who says they know is a liar, right? We are, merely speculating. But we know that the Bible talks about meteors and fire and blood raining down. Like, is this what precedes the passing of Planet X? Is this, what's coming off the sides? And as it goes past, this shit all goes all over the place, right? We look at Mother Shipton, and we'll get into that here in a moment. Mother Shipton talks about and she kind of supports what Zetatalk is saying. She says that on the 7th or the 6th one, after 6 revolutions around the sun, that mankind basically thinks that we've escaped the wrath of the dragon and that it cracks its tail, right, on the 7th. That the gods make it come back. Here, let's see if we can find that. Hold on. Show you what I'm talking about. So is this going to be like a 7-year deal where the thing is right on top of us? You know what I mean? Or, that's what I mean. It's this is kind of a tricky one when it comes to time, because time is so fluid and there's really no such thing as time. So it's really hard for us to say one way or other. And this is Mother Shipton. Upside down the world shall be, all gold found at the root of tree. All England's sons that plough the land shall oft be seen with book in hand. The poor shall now great wisdom know, great house stand in far-flung vale, all covered o'er with snow and hail. A carriage without horse will go, disaster fill the world with woe. In London Primrose Hill shall be, and centre hold a bishop's see. Around the world men's thoughts will fly, quick as the twinkling of an eye. And water shall great wonders do, how strange and yet it shall come true. Through towering hills proud men shall ride, no horse or ass move by his side. Beneath the water men shall walk, shall ride, shall sleep, shall even talk. And in this air men shall be seen, in white and black and even green. A great man then shall come and go, for prophecy declares it so. In water, iron then shall float, as easy as a wooden boat. Gold shall be seen in stream and stone, in land that is yet unknown. All England shall admit a Jew, you think it strange, but it is true. The Jew that once was held in scorn shall of a Christian then be born. A house of glass shall come to pass in England, but alas, alas, a war will follow with the work where dwells the pagan and the Turk. These states will lock in fiercest strife and seek to take each other's life. When north shall then divide the south, all eagles build in lion's mouth. Then tax and blood and cruel war shall come to every humble door. 3 times shall lovely sunny France be led to play a bloody dance. Before the people shall be free, 3 tyrant rulers shall she see. 3 rulers in succession be, each springs from different dynasty. Then when the fiercest strife is done, and England and France shall be as one, the British olive it shall next then twine in marriage with a German vine. Men walk beneath and over streams, fulfilled shall be their wondrous dreams. For in those wondrous far-off days the women shall adopt a craze to dress like men and trousers wear, and to cut off their locks of hair. They'll ride astride with brazen brow, as witches do on broomsticks now. And roaring monsters, with man atop, do seem to eat the verdant crop. And men shall fly as birds do now, and give away the horse and plow. There'll be a sign for all to see, be sure that it will certain be. Then love shall die, and marriage cease, and nations wane as babes decrease. And wives shall fondle cats and dogs, and men live much the same as hogs. In 1926, build houses light of straw and sticks, for then shall mighty wars be planned, and fire and sword shall sweep the land. When pictures seem alive with movements free, when boats like fishes swim beneath the sea, when men like birds shall scour the sky, then half the world, deep drenched in blood, shall die. For those who live the century through, in fear and trembling, this shall do. Flee to the mountains and to the dens, to bog and forest and wild fens. For storms will rage and oceans roar when Gabriel stands on sea and shore. And as he blows his wondrous horn, old worlds die and new be born. A fiery dragon will cross the sky 6 times before the earth shall die. Mankind will tremble and frightened be, for the 6 heralds in this prophecy. There you go, right there. The fiery dragon will cross the sky 6 times before this earth shall die. Mankind will tremble and frightened be, for the 6th herald in this prophecy. For 7 days and 7 nights, man will watch this awesome sight. The tides will rise beyond their kin to bite away the shores, and then the mountains will begin to roar, and earthquakes split the plains to shore. And flooding waters rushing in will flood the lands with such a din that mankind covers in muddy fin and snarls about his fellow men. He bares his teeth and fights and kills, and secrets food and secret hills. And ugly is his face, in fear he lies to kill marauders, thieves, and spies. Man flees in terror from the floods, and kills and rapes and lies in blood. And spilling blood by mankind's hands will stain and bitter many lands. When the dragon's tail is gone, man forgets and smiles and carries on to apply himself. Too late, for man has earned deserved fate. His masked smile, his false grandeur, will serve the gods to their anger stir. And they will send the dragon back to light the sky. His tail will crack upon the earth and rend the earth, and man shall flee king, lord, and serve. But slowly they are routed out to seek diminishing water spout, and men will die of thirst before the oceans rise to mount the shore. All lands will crack and rend anew. You think it's strange, it will come true. And in some far-off distant land, some men, oh such a tiny band, will have to leave their solid mount and span the earth, those few to count. Who survives, and then begins the human race again. But not on land already there, but on ocean beds stark dry and bare. Not every soul on earth will die as a dragon's tail goes sweeping by. Not every land on earth will sink, but these will wallow in stench and stink of rotting bodies of beast and man, of vegetation crisped on land. But the land that rises from the sea will be dry and clean and soft and free of mankind's dirt and therefore be the source of man's new dynasty. And those that live will ever fear the dragon's tail for many year. But time erases memory, you think it's strange, but it will be. And before the race is built anew, a silver serpent comes to view, and spew out men of like unknown, to mingle with the earth now grown, cold from its heat, and men can enlighten the minds of future man, to intermingle and show them how to live and love, and thus endow the children with the second sight, a natural thing, so they might grow graceful, humble, and when they do, the golden age will start anew. The dragon's tail is but a sign for mankind's fall and man's decline. And before this prophecy is done, I shall be burned at the stake at one. My body singed and a soul set free. You think I utter blasphemy, you're wrong. These things have come to me, and this prophecy will come to be. There you have it, right there. She's talking about the dragon too. Talking about the dragon too. I think it's pretty wild how old some of these prophecies are. I mean, hundreds of years ago, even older than that when you get into like texts and scriptures and shit. And yet, for whatever reason, nobody ever pays attention to them. They're filed off as just bullshit, and any discoveries or anything that kind of like would back them up is looked at as pseudoscience. But I feel like because we're spiritual beings, and because this is like a projection, we have the ability to tap in anywhere outside of time. And that's what creates visions and dreams and prophecies. Like, I don't know what makes us able to tap into that. Is it because we're in the astral realm whenever we're sleeping, and dreams are able to come to us then? Or people that's had near-death experiences, it's allowed them to connect to their soul, their spirit, better than others, to give them, psychic abilities. I don't know. But I do know that, we, in our spiritual form, we're timeless, right? We're infinite, and we're eternal. So if we can tap into that, then we can also access the full scope of that, which would allow us to see any time that takes place, right? Now let's go check out some more here of these prophecies. Sudden impact. During many predictions made by ourselves regarding events to unfold, we have differentiated between geological changes that can be predicted and those in the hands of man. Geological changes, likewise divided by ourselves into those we can speak about and those we are not allowed to address. We are not allowed, for instance, to predict what city will be affected by a quake on what date. We are not allowed to relay our awareness of what volcano might erupt within the next few days. We can only relay general earth changes to occur or would be set packing by the Council of Worlds, as this earth is man's schoolhouse, and such predictions interfere with the nature of the schoolhouse. Those issues in the hands of men encompasses false reports in the media, such as failing to report increases in quakes and weather irregularities, exploding factories, and rising seas. The economy fails, no good news, but chirping is done on the news about various predictions that all will be well soon. If the reality is withheld from the public and what is reported counters our predictions, then this is an issue in the hands of men. The hands of man also control whether nuclear power plants will be shut down, whether bridges will be blown up to prevent cities from escaping into the countryside, and whether martial law will be imposed in this or that country. These issues could change in a heartbeat and is always in the hands of man. That said, what is likely to unfold over the weeks before rotation stops, that has not already been addressed. We will divide this into two sections, those that are not in the hands of man and those that are. What astonishes those who have been following Zeta is that a pole shift of ferocity we have described will affect the Earth in a short time. But the Earth seems to be trucking along as usual. This, of course, is not true, as the slowing rotation has already been noted as several leap seconds per day. Those doing careful clocking and the weather wildly out of step with what it should be. Temperature swings during the seasons are so wide worldwide and erratic that sowing and reaping crops is something that farmers have come to view as a gamble. Yet no explanation for this and no treatment of this in the news. For those wondering why the earth is not shuddering with quakes, the oceans washing over land some weeks before a major pole shift, we should suggest this practice. Consider that your planet, let me get this to come up. Consider that your planets pass by each other in their orbits and pass each other at closer proximity than planet X is today to Earth, with no measurable effects. Do you notice it coming or going? You may be informed that this is the state, the planets lining up or some, but the man on the street does not notice as there is no effect. So the silly predictions made that planets lining up in a row would cause all manner of effect on Earth, which we discounted as false worry, correctly did not cause any notice on Mother Earth whatsoever. So why should the approaching Planet X cause the catastrophe some demand should be occurring if it is to cause a pole shift soon? And that's a really good fucking point right there, actually. Right? She's saying, or they, the Zetas, whoever the fuck this is, they're saying that people are like, yo, why isn't everything, flipping upside down if Planet X is approaching and it's close? And she's saying, well, it's not even closer than the planets that we have around us. And when they are in alignment, they don't rip our planet apart. So why would this do it until it's, here? And I do believe it's very, very close. Very close. Matter of fact, in my opinion, it's following Comet Leonard. We see these moments, Atlas, I believe, is when it entered into our general vicinity, or how do you say? Maybe that's when it approached the sun from behind the sun and started making its way towards us. And then 2 years later, we have A1 Leonard. And this is after, Apophis passed, which I believe is also a major part of the PX system. It could even be, its moon and we're being lied to. Who knows? Since Planet X is causing effects in the slowing rotation, the magnetic diffusion, and the weather irregularities only because it's a large magnet where the other planets are not. Mercury is not magnetic, but closer to the sun, which dominates the field with its magnetic field, so it's negated. It is the influence on the Earth's core which allows Planet X to affect the Earth. After pondering that the passing planets orbit round and round to the sun do not affect each other during passage, do this practice. Nail a small magnet to a tabletop so that it can turn freely, and the nail in the center. Line a second magnet, larger, up with the smaller so that both north poles point in the same direction. Push the larger magnet toward the smaller, north to south, but with a very slight offset so the larger can pass the smaller. Note that the smaller does not notice or seem to notice the larger until a point of passage, when it suddenly overcome the friction. There you go. So they're saying these magnets, and I feel like we're already seeing this, guys. I'm just keeping it real. If you look at the South Atlantic anomaly, which is this big negative polarity, looks like a fucking planet with wings or a tail or something, right? pushing our poles towards Siberia. I feel like we're already seeing the impacts, and you can see the weather is absolutely catastrophic all across the world. So we're seeing this. I believe we're at that point. They're now talking about Earth's rotation slowing, that we're tilting, losing atmosphere. I mean, all of these things, So there's a lot more signs now than when this was written. People still deny it. People still deny it to this day. Fucking crazy. Let's go into the comet's tail. The tail of a giant comet, as it travels in space, meets almost no resistance. It's composed of debris attracted to the trail after the comet, not only from the days when the comet formed, but as it travels, picking up stragglers in space attracted to the gravitational pull. The tail is dust, gases, stones, boulders, and moons, depending on the size and composition of the entourage at any given point. Nothing much affects this out in space as long as the arc of the 12th planet makes it zooms away from the Earth and floats in the darkness of outer space. All this changes when the comet enters your solar system. The solar wind, a bombardment of radiation your eye cannot see except as light, pushes the tail outward, away from the sun. Thus the comet's tail sweeps the Earth. Dust, gases, stones, and boulders. All. What is the effect? The comet's moon hugs close, so it does not come in range, but all else is a massive onslaught on the Earth's atmosphere. During every passage, there are some debris which land on the surface of the Earth. The atmosphere is stripped away to a great extent, and the tail of the passing comet contains much larger debris. Boulders drop, thudding to the earth and crushing quickly anything beneath them. It is reported in folklore that hailstones, gravel, lashes the earth, but those reporting this have sought shelter and are thus alive to report. During the last passage, the report stated that crops and small trees were utterly destroyed by these hailstorms. That some craters are in the news lately is not because they have just been discovered, but because there is increasing talk about Star Wars, asteroid shields, etc. Near-Earth orbit passes, and this has awakened concerns. The establishment wants this heightened concern, as they still hope to erect some magic shield to zap out anything coming close, which is fantasy. In the first place, such a shield itself would be torn from the skies, ineffectual, absent, and probably crashing to Earth itself as a source of destruction. In the second place, the trash is so intense that any zapping laser would not keep up with it. The best defense for humans is to huddle near cliffs, out of the wind, not in open fields, as most missiles that crash to Earth, large boulders will not drop straight down. They will come in at an angle and will glance off hilltops, bouncing about. Thus, those in the ravines are unlikely to experience a direct hit. How about that? The passing comet, they're telling you to go to the hills, and that they're doing the near-Earth orbit shit, or the NEOs, for a heightened concern, and that they're trying to erect a magic shield. This has already happened, right? Think about it, right? We see now with SpaceX, right? SpaceX and them launching fucking 20,000 satellites, and then they just launched like 59 or 52 spy satellites. And this kind of stems from like Reagan and the Star Wars shit and all of that, which she was talking about here. And this is like our planetary defense. We see all the different things talking about planetary defense. Matter of fact, on November 24th, we seen the launch of the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, right? DART, which is supposed to smash into Didymus and Dimorphos. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that, man. Look at that. That's why they're the best damn fan. I got like 5 people saying thumbs up. Everybody thumbs up. I appreciate that. But that's what I mean, though. Like, I feel that they've known this shit's coming for a very long time, because they have, and that what they're attempting to do by, all the NEO shit is create a cover story for when it does impact us, is to say, as a matter of fact, I was just looking at an article. Let me pull it up. The 3 Days of Darkness, we'll get into that in just a second, which is very interesting in my opinion. Where's it at here? Right here. Right, see, like this kind of shit. An asteroid more than half a mile wide will make its closest pass by Earth next week. Why is NASA worried? Let's see why NASA's fucking worried.
At Jones Junction, we pride ourselves on exceeding our customer...
Let's make sure you guys have sound. Okay.
Asteroids hurtling all around planet Earth and through the solar system. Massive chunks of space rock with the potential to cause some serious damage. And we know that across the history of Earth, there have been major impact events which have served to change our planet forever. We also know, though, that the chances of an asteroid striking today, tomorrow, or next week are extremely low. But still, NASA are apparently worried enough to take matters into their own hands. This is Unveiled, and today we're answering the extraordinary question, why did NASA just launch a planetary defense mission? Do you need the big questions answered? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more? SpaceX head Elon Musk even claimed that it could one day avenge the dinosaurs, referencing the widely held view that the dinosaurs were ultimately killed off by the devastating effects of an asteroid impact. So what is DART, and what does NASA hope to achieve with it? First and foremost, it's what's known as a kinetic impactor spacecraft. It's been designed with one main purpose, to crash into a target, and hopefully to change the orbit of that target, to change the way it moves through space.
Yeah, which is fucking nonsense, because a damn tuna can or a piece of aluminum foil isn't going to knock off a half-mile fucking rock, right? So, that's just stupid. I don't know why they got people convinced that even something like that would work. But here we go. The kilometer-wide asteroid will make its closest pass by Earth next week. An asteroid estimated to be a kilometer, or 3,451 feet wide, will fly by the Earth on January the 18th. It will pass within 1.2 million miles of our planet, moving at 47,344 miles per hour. According to NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies, which tracks potentially hazardous comets and asteroids that could collide with our planet. The approaching asteroid is known as 7482-1994 PC1, and it was discovered in 94, according to NASA. Nobody expects 7482 to hit Earth, but its closest the asteroid will come for the next 2 centuries. According to the projections, the flyby is expected to take place on a Tuesday, January 18th at 4:51 p.m. Eastern Time. It won't be the largest asteroid to ever sweep past Earth. That honor belongs to the asteroid 3122 Florence 1981 ET3, which flew by and missed colliding with Earth on September 1st, 2017. That asteroid is estimated to be between 2.5 miles and 5.5 miles wide, and it makes another pass again on September 2nd, 2057. While 7482 is unlikely to be visible with the naked eye, amateur astronomers with a small telescope should be able to spot it, according to the website EarthSky. In September, NASA spacecraft will deliberately crash into an asteroid to change its motion in space, testing technology developed to deflect an asteroid hit. Now, this is what I mean. They launched DART, double asteroid redirection test, all these different things that we've seen. And I don't know if you guys remember, but when we was like covering the shit for DART, I think I showed it, I'm not sure, but their backup plan is exactly what Zetatalk was saying. They're literally going to try to use a fucking giant laser to blow the rock off, if it comes. Probably splitting it into two and just making two giant impacts, who knows. But I mean, these are the things that they're doing, and I genuinely feel like, when we see all of these large asteroids and comets and shit that pass, and then they say, oh, we missed it, we didn't see it, it was coming from behind the sun, right? They're building up the narrative for when one actually collides, so they can say, hey, we didn't see this one either, it came from underneath us, or it came from behind the sun, And I also believe that that's why we're going to have World War III at the same time as all of this kicks off, because it's going to cover for it too. I've talked about it a lot, hypersonic missiles and how they behave like meteors, all of that, man. Now let's take a look here. The red dust. The red dust cloud evolved as many planets in the solar system are heavy in this element. Mars, for instance, and there are portions of the Earth that exhibit a red clay soil. Australia and southeastern U.S., but this is not a native soil as much as accumulation of deposits. During the breakup of the asteroid belt, many planets that had this element heavily were pelted to pieces. Molten lava spewed into space and became the asteroids. Iron ore is magnetically configured to pull out of any soup it is free to move within, and does so particularly in space. Thus, the dust during poofing off in space, during demolition derbies as Planet X and its complex of moons moved through what is now the asteroid belt, and became part of the Planet X tail. Planet X, like a big magnet, swept through the area during the poofing phase and emerged with a larger dust cloud each time. We've mentioned that the tail curls towards the Earth, pulled by the gravity and magnetic and other attractants. Thus, the red dust lands hours before the point of passage. Thus, red dusting is a countdown clue that only hours remain. The Earth at this point has been stopped in its rotation for days, approximately a week, thus since the South Pacific, and more in line with where the tail is coming from. This will be the spot where the lick of the tail is first experienced. Dust clouds, as anyone experiencing a sandstorm will attest, have a life of their own. The cloud itself exists because there is some kind of glue holding it together. The dust clings to the debris, which clings to the larger debris, such as moons, as these cling to Planet X. There is more than gravity involved, and this is too simplistic an explanation, and more than magnetism, though the iron ore is certainly more magnetically active than most dust clouds. Debris follows the pattern of the tail, all being included in the dynamics. Debris towards the end of the moon swirls, that is cutting towards the Earth and giving it a tail lick, so to speak. It may be as massive and likely to cause damage as debris toward the Planet X portion of the tail. Look to the planets in the ecliptic with the more massive outer orbits. The planets have their positions, their placement for various reasons, and size is not determined as to what is closest to the gravitational giant, the Sun. In like manner, larger debris may in fact be trailing smaller, with the moon swirl trailing behind Planet X. Thus, all parts of the globe report debris, China as well as Egypt, and in the past the tail streams behind Planet X, which is moving rapidly and has been during the preceding months, and involved in swirling motions as the moons have a dance between themselves. Thus there is motion already. A tail swirling and moving like a slow-moving tornado approaches Earth, which has a magnetic as well as gravity attraction. Thus, it's not simply a head-on hit, tail to Earth, as it also is a sideways hit from swirling matter coming from this or that side. Then there is the motion of the tail swirl being curled towards the earth, continuing the curl like a whip that curls around what is thrown against the tail can warp all around the earth during such a lick. There is no parts of the globe that do not report red dust. Frankly, it is perhaps most extreme on those sides of the globe that will be facing the approach, but elsewhere is not exempt from debris, as with red dust, may have a slight weight to the sides of the Earth facing the approaching Planet X complex. But from the standpoint of an individual worries about having boulders land on his head, the odds are so close as to be statistically insignificant as to which side of the Earth you are on. And you guys might remember, in one of the more recent videos, we actually looked at like this article that had come out and was talking about how Earth from space right now looks like Mars, right? Because of the red dust. You guys will also remember that it was like, what, 500 miles or some shit like that wide of the Saharan dust plumes, and that's happened a couple of times now. Let's see if we can find this. Yeah, see? Boom. Earth looking like Mars from space. See, there it is. Earth looks like Mars in stunning astronaut photos from the ISS. And this is 2021. See? This is the red dust. Right there, bitch. Red dust. And Earth and the Mars look pretty different from each other. We see Mars in dry, dusty, reddish places, while Earth looks blue and green, blah, blah, blah. But here we go. He looked out the window and snapped a photo of Earth looking a lot like Mars. There you go. Right? There you go. Red dust. Now, Zetatalk, one thing I think that they keep missing is that they make it sound like, oh, you see the dust and you better go run in the basement and hide. You know what I mean? Or, oh, if this happens, you know, that means you got hours to live. I think it's happening more at a slower kind of progression than what they anticipated, for sure. But it does still seem like they've nailed a lot of the things, or at least, you know, they give generalized predictions. So, I mean, there's that as well, right? We know that that anytime someone's doing the real we can't tell you where the earthquake will hit and what time or what date. We can't tell you that. Well, that's because those were all very specific things, right? So when you're making a generalized thing, it's like a what do they call it? Like when a psychic, right? They're doing a cold reading on a person. Right? It's usually like those mentalist tactics where they're like, oh, I see something with wood. And you're like, my grandpa had a chair. Oh, a chair. I mean, you know, like it's very general. So, okay. Differing prophecies. Invariably, prophecies about the millennium or pending geological changes are laid alongside each other with differences raised up and demands for reconciliation made. Like the famous story about the blind men all feeling a different part of the elephant, some differences are due to segregation, but most are due to either the prophet being misunderstood or the prophet misunderstanding what it is they have been told. If you have never experienced an eclipse of the sun, but had been advised that one would occur, the message may be interpreted as a day when the sun would hide, when the sun and moon would do battle, when night would come early, and when there would be a short day or 2 short days or a very short night. But all these statements would be referring to the same pending eclipse. Just so, when a prophecy states that it will land or go under the sea, and another states that land will rise from the sea, these prophecies are not in conflict with each other, as both situations will occur. Now, let's see here. Okay. The date that they gave does not line up with what some interpreted the Mayan calendar to read, and we, the Zetas, are asked to explain this. We are correct in our data as it is based on the steady pace and known placement of the 12th planet, and we are not mistaken. Some have interpreted prophecies that state that cataclysms will occur when the millennium ends, the means of the exact last days of 1999, or perhaps somewhere within the year 2000, but not thereafter. They wish precision and demand that we reconcile our dates with every other date speculated by anyone who calls themselves a prophet or claims to have insight into what ancient prophecies might have meant. Now, some valid prophecies have stated that this land or that will appear as islands or being inundated, and may have interpreted that to mean that the land will either sink under the sea or the oceans rise inordinately. The Edgar Cayce vision of California appearing as islands having been inundated is not in conflict with the Zetas' statement, as the West Coast will rise up due to forceful subduction of plates in the west of the land. One has only to look at the geography of California to see that the fertile inland valley was recently an inland sea, due to the surrounding mountains holding the water as a bowl, so that the prediction of massive and forceful tidal waves rising hundreds of feet high to clear the mountains when they have nowhere else to go will reflood the inland sea once again, and that drainage will take some time. Among the valid prophets, Edgar Cayce has stated a vision that lands will appear in the Caribbean, and Zeta has pointed to an area off the Antarctica. Is Cayce incorrect? Yes and no. Insofar, he was seeing the immediate effect of the pole shift on the land, with the Atlantic widening so that there is temporarily less water to rise up on the shores. The vision's correct. Cayce was also reporting the immediate effect on the pole shift on California. I don't know. They're trying to say Edgar Cayce's full of shit. I don't know about that, but I think he's predicted a lot of shit that's actually come to pass here. Now, let's kind of move into some other stuff here. The prophecies. Didn't I say I was going to do something else first? Yes, 3 days of darkness. Okay. From translations of a copy of a personal letter written by Padre Pio, addressed to the Commission of Heroldsbach, appointed by the Vatican, that testifies to the truth and reality of these revelations on the 3 days of darkness given by our Lord to Padre Pio, a Capuchin priest who bore the stigmata. Damn. I wonder if people will ever mention me like that. Be like a Capuchin priest who bore the stigmata. Right? I doubt it. Okay, January 28th, 1950. And these are like for the 3 days of darkness here. And dude, I've heard some fucking terrifying things about 3 days of darkness. And I've heard it's 10 days of darkness too, by the way. Like a lot, I look at prophecies all the time and get into this shit all the time. And one of the, predictions of the days of darkness is, 10 days of darkness and shit like that. So very much could not just be 3. It says, keep your windows well covered. Do not look out. Light a blessed candle, which will suffice for many days. Pray the rosary. Read spiritual books. Make acts of spiritual communion, also acts of love, which are pleasing to us. Pray with outstretched arms and prostrate on the ground in order that many souls may be saved. Don't go outside the house. Provide yourself with sufficient food. The powers of nature shall be moved, and a rain of fire shall make people tremble with fear. Have courage. I am in the midst of you. Now, let me just say this. I don't want to give their name or whatever, but I was talking to somebody. This has been a while ago, like some time back, and we were talking about and they were really heavy into the Catholic Church and shit. like that's where their background came from. And we were talking about the 3 days of darkness, and this person like had the details, I mean, fucking down, dude. Each day they were talking about how it was all gonna start with inundation, like a wind, like super strong wind, like it would come to this like growling roar to the point that the wind would start shaking shit, hundreds of miles per hour. And this would like take place first. It lasts like a week. Then earthquakes would come. And during this time, and it's like this process, and I believe they said it was 5 days or some shit like that of darkness, that the aliens or the fallen, the ETs, whatever, they come during the time of the 3 days of darkness. That during the 3 days of darkness, basically the pits of hell open up onto the earth. Right? It's like the opening of the bottomless pit. If we look in the book of Revelation, right, and it talks about how smoke rising up out of the abyss, right? Smoke rising up out of the abyss. Here, I'll get the verse for you. Well, hold on. Okay. The fifth angel sounded his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from the sky to the earth. The star was given the key to the shaft of the abyss. When he opened the abyss, smoke rose from it like smoke from a gigantic furnace. This is Revelations 9. Let me pull up the word. Revelations 9 here. Whoops. I think I opened it twice, but sorry about that. Let me give you guys this screen. Oh, went right to Revelations 9. How about that? Here, let me give you guys this screen so you can see it. I don't want two of them. All right. Let me switch the screen. Or try to switch the screen. All right. Oh shit, that's not it. No. 1 second. Hold on, guys. I think I gotta pull it up here. Alright, now let me try. Everybody hit that thumbs up too, by the way. There we go. If you're in the chat, please hit that thumbs up for me. I really appreciate it. Alright, now let's go here to Revelations 9. Alright, Revelations 9. The fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from the sky to the earth. And he was given the key to the shaft of the abyss. He opened the shaft of the abyss, and smoke rose out of it, like smoke from a giant furnace. The sun and the air were darkened with smoke from the shaft. Then out of the smoke came locusts onto the earth, and they were given power like that of the scorpions of the earth. They were told not to damage the grass of the earth or any green plant or tree, but only those people who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. The locusts were not given permission to kill them, but only to torture them for 5 months. And their torture was like that of a scorpion when it stings a person. In those days, people will seek death, but will not be able to find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. Now think about this too. I think that, the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen. A star that had fallen. What is a star? It's a luminary, a heavenly host. Right? A luminary or a heavenly host that had fallen. Wow. See if we can. Strewn over the sky. Stronumi. And it means to spread as a carpet through the idea of posting. To make, furnish, spread, or strew. Spreaded, so it was spread over the sky. Right? A star is a heavenly host or an angel. Right? So I saw an angel that had fallen from the sky. Right? Which the sky is the heavens. And see, the heavens, happiness, power, eternity. So I saw an angel that had fallen from the heavens to the earth. And he was given the key to the shaft of the abyss. And let's see if we can find on the key here. Whoa, what the fuck happened? Okay, I guess the Mickelson Greek pronunciation key. Okay, that's not what's supposed to pop up. In the shaft of the abyss. The hole in space. What? It's like a cistern or a well. A hole in the ground is the shaft of the infernal or depthless, bottomless infernal abyss. A negative particle. What? The depth. Or the sea. How about that? The sea. The depth of the sea. A cistern or a well. So, okay. So, the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw an angel that fell from the sky to the earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the abyss, which is the seas of heaven, right? So, space. He created a hole in space. And they fell from it, right? So an angel falls from the sky through a fucking hole in the firmament into the earth. And he opened the shaft of the abyss and smoke rose out of it. Like a smoke from a giant furnace. I wonder what the word for the smoke actually means. An affinity. Well, that's kind of shitty. A smoke rose out of it like the smoke from a giant furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened from the smoke in the shaft. So does this sound to you like possibly, 3 days of darkness? Whatever, 10 days of darkness? Let's go back to that now. Does to me. I don't know. Just saying. Whoops. Boom. Alright. And everybody in the chat, please make sure to hit that thumbs up. Hit that like button for me. You didn't get a notification? Wow, man. Buffering? Well, I do apologize if it's buffering. Hopefully we can get it fixed here. Let's see. Let me check my stuff. Maybe I can... As long as you guys can see me and hear me and stuff, I think we're good. I'm going to try to ride it out, guys. So I don't see a buffering on my end. I got one on the side watching. It's on a delay a little bit. So I do apologize if it is. Scorpio. Okay, I'm trying to read this stuff. Sorry. Get back here. Okay. February 17th, 1950. Take care of the animals during these days. I am the creator and preserver of all animals as well as man. I shall give you a few signs beforehand, at which time you should place more food before them. I will preserve the property of the elect, including the animal be in need of sustenance afterwards as well. Now, okay, back to the story I was telling you too. One of the things I heard is that when this happens is when the 3 days of darkness takes place, and you see here, it's like, a star falling from the sky. So this is, or an angel falling from the sky. This is a heavenly body, a celestial sphere that hits the fucking firmament, cracking the damn thing open, and that's what opens the bottomless pit. And when that happens, so an asteroid probably, or a comet more like it, makes impact with the Earth, right? And think about Nostradamus, Quatrain 944. I've talked about this in the past, that I believe he's describing possibly asteroid Apophis hitting the Earth, allowing, Saturn or Satan, the dragon, to come in or go past or whatever, right? It's like all of these things always seem to be very synchronized, and they line up. So when this happens, it then makes everything dark. The smoke of the bottomless pit, whatever, through space, and perhaps the smoke from, whatever was burning and hit. This darkness is created, and then all of a sudden, what happens? The locusts come in, right? The locusts come in. That's an alien invasion. This person that I was talking about, they were telling me that when you're inside your house, that when this takes place, that you cover all the windows. Don't get like a candle, a normal candle, because the earth will be shaking so much that your house will fucking catch fire, right? This is what this person told me. To get like artificial lights, like glow sticks and shit like that. And then everyone in the house is supposed to come in and huddle together in the center of the home. Get away from the windows, away from the doors. Lock all of them. Board the windows if you can, but block all the windows. Don't even look outside the window during this time, right? Until the sun is beaming through, the house again. Don't even look outside. It said that wherever you're at, to go inside immediately, and if you're not inside, you'll die. Wherever you're at. It says don't try to go to somewhere else either. Let's say hypothetically that you're at the supermarket and your wife or your hubby is at home. You can't leave the supermarket and they can't leave home to come meet each other. It's done. Wherever you're at is wherever you're at. Whoever you're with is whoever you're with. If you try to leave, you die. It says that this is when this bottomless pit opens, that all the demonic entities, the heralds of doom, or these locusts, are released from hell, basically. And that they're bloodthirsty. They've been down there for fucking eons waiting on this moment to come devour some ass, right? And some spiritual ass. But they're coming, to take souls, to eat people, evil ass people. And that they're demons still, so they have magical powers. They can mimic, shit, and they can trick you. They're tricksters, right? So what they'll try to do to people is when you're in your home, they'll come to your house and sound like your kid outside, like, "Mom, let me in," right? And when you go to open the door, you die. Or when you look out the window, you die, right? And that they're going to try to deceive people in every way possible to get them to look outside or to go outside during this time so they can devour them, right? These are ancient, bloodthirsty, demonic creatures that are finally being released onto the earth, and their sole purpose of existence is for the harvest, right? That's their sole purpose of existence. They've been locked in hell for, who knows, right? There's no such thing as time, so they've been there for an eternity, right? And that their whole reason of existing is to, bring this wrath on mankind, because why? We know that this whole place is set up with a purpose. Everything having a purpose. Every entity, every being, every creature, everyone having a purpose. And that purpose is to eat you, I guess. Now the hour of my coming is near, but I will show mercy. A most dreadful punishment will bear witness to the times. My angels, who are to be the executioners of this work, are ready with their pointed swords. Do you see what I'm saying? How many different things, does it take to show a person that the angels, what we consider an angel, we think of some, white robe, fucking golden halo or a fat baby or something? I don't think so. I think it's more like the show Midnight Mass, right? Where they're like bloodthirsty, demonic creatures. I think they're probably all like that. And they're indifferent to good or evil either way, right? And some of them serve purposes of good and some of them serve purposes of darkness. But when the day of the Lord comes, he's got all of his heavenly hosts with him. He brings an army of angels to bring war to the earth. So the alien invasion stuff, that's what it actually is. It's judgment being cast upon the earth. So, people say, oh, we're going to, you'll be deceived by it. You're going to think it's God or the return of Jesus or all of this. I don't know if that's going to be so true anymore. Right? I don't know if that's good. I'm sure people might be running out there like, God, take me. But they're eventually going to regret that decision, when some flying dragon comes and bites half their ass off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to be a good homecoming. Right? And I've heard of people having dreams, too, of, this time. And saying, like, these angels, we'll call them, right? They come down and like they'll pass over them, basically, like the story of Passover. Like they look at them and like you barely made it type shit. So I think that's very interesting. Okay, hurricanes of fire will pour forth from the clouds and spread over the entire earth. Storms, bad weather, thunderbolts, and earthquakes will cover the earth for 2 days. An uninterrupted rain of fire will take place, and it will begin during a very cold night. All this is to prove that God is the master of creation. Those who hope in me and believe in my words have nothing to fear, because I will not forsake them, nor those who spread my message. No harm will come to those who are in the state of grace and who seek my mother's protection. My mother's? You mean my father's protection, dude? No, they don't, because they worship a goddess, right? Because it's really Babylon that they're worshiping. Lucifer, the feminine aspect, right? Isis, Libertas, Hecate, and they're trying to deceive you with their fucking fish hats and their upside down crosses. That you may be prepared for these visitations, I will give you the following signs and instructions. The night will be very cold. The wind will roar. After a time, thunderbolts will be heard. Lock all the doors and windows. Talk to no one outside the house. Kneel down before a crucifix. Be sorry for your sins. I bet you will too. You'd be like, I'm sorry, God. Be sorry for your sins and beg my mother's protection. Do not look during the earthquake, because the anger of God is holy. Jesus does not want us to behold the anger of God, because God's anger must be contemplated with fear and trembling. Those who disregard this advice will be killed instantly. The wind will carry with it poisonous gases, which will be diffused over the entire earth. Those who suffer and die innocently will be martyrs, and they will be with me in my kingdom. Satan will triumph. But after 3 nights, the earthquake and fire will cease. On the following day, the sun will shine again. Angels will descend from heaven and will spread the spirit of peace over the earth. A feeling of immeasurable gratitude will take possession of those who survive this terrible ordeal, the impending punishment with which God visited the earth since creation. I have chosen souls in other countries too, such as Belgium, Switzerland, Spain, who have received these revelations so that the other countries may be prepared. Pray much during this holy year. Pray the rosary, but pray it well, that your prayers may reach heaven. Soon a more terrible catastrophe shall come upon the entire world. such as never before has been witnessed, a terrible chastisement never before experienced. The War of 1950 shall be the introduction to these things. How unconcerned men are regarding these things. Men shall so soon come upon them contrary to all expectations. How indifferent they are in preparing themselves for these unheard of events, through which they will have to pass so shortly. The weight of the divine balance has reached the earth. The wrath of my Father shall be poured out over the entire world. I am again warning the world through your instrumentality, so I have often done heretofore. The sins of men have multiplied beyond measure. Irreverence in church, sinful pride committed in sham religious activities, lack of true brotherly love, indecency in dress, especially at summer seasons. The world is filled with iniquity. This catastrophe shall come upon the earth like a flash of lightning, at which moment the light of the morning sun shall be replaced by black darkness. No one shall leave the house or look out a window from that moment on. I myself shall come amidst thunder and lightning. The wicked shall behold my divine heart. There shall be great confusion because of this utter darkness in which the entire earth shall be enveloped, and many, many shall die from fear and despair. Those who shall fight for my cause shall receive grace from my divine heart, and the cry, "Who is like unto God?" shall serve as a means of protection to many. However, many shall burn in the open fields like withered grass. The goddess or godless shall be annihilated, so that afterwards the just shall be able to stand afresh. On the day as soon as complete darkness has set in, no one shall leave the house or look from out the window. The darkness shall last a day and a night, followed by another day and a night and another day. But on the night following, the stars will shine again, and the next morning the sun shall rise up again, and will be springtime. In the days of darkness my elect shall not sleep, as did the disciples in the Garden of Olives. They shall pray incessantly, and they shall not be disappointed in me. I shall gather my elect. Hell will believe itself to be in possession of the entire earth, but I shall reclaim it. Do you perhaps think that I would permit my Father to have such terrible chastisement come upon the world if the world would turn from iniquity to justice? But because of my great love, these afflictions shall be permitted to come upon man. Although many shall curse me, yet thousands of souls shall be saved through them. No human understanding can fathom the depth of my love. Pray, I desire your prayers. My dear Mother Mary, Saint Joseph, Saint Elizabeth, blah, 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 Peter and the little blah, 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 your holy angels shall be your intercessors. Implore their aid. Be courageous soldiers of Christ. At the return of light, let everyone give thanks to the Holy Trinity for their protection. The devastation shall be very great. But I, your God, will have purified the earth. I am with you. Have confidence. The purifier, right? Like in the Hopi prophecy, I, your God, have purified the earth, right? Passover, springtime, like the destroyer, bringing the days of darkness. And remember, in the Cobram, the chapter following the 3 chapters on the destroyer is called, the time of darkness or some shit like that. Home spared in the nuclear bombings of Hiroshima. Da, da, da. All right, hold on. Let's see if we can get some more here. I don't know if I should read that one. There will be a tremendous explosion and the sky shall roll back like a scroll. This force shall go within the very core of the human. He will understand his offenses to his God. The flash and the great heat. Do not look up to the sky, the flash. Oh, I see a terrible light. It's a flash, but it's hot. Oh, it's so hot. Now I hear voices, and the people are screaming. They're frightened. There's no reason to be frightened. Our Lady will save you. There's no reason to be frightened. Don't run. Don't go outside. Stay inside. Oh, pray. Remain on your knees and pray. How about that? You know, we've talked about this too. They keep talking about, this, basically, this face down position. They do it in Mecca, right? With their forehead on the ground, and then they're on their knees and their hands are down like this. We've talked about this, how, this is like a neutron star, a negative polarity, right? And it's magnetized to negativity or matter, right? So everything that's evil or dark or corrupt or whatever is going to be drawn into this thing. So that's why everything on the earth is destroyed. That's why our physical bodies are destroyed. That's why it's all, ripped apart. Because it's all attracted to this star. And that's why they're, marking everybody so they don't have the light inside of them anymore, the seal of God. And because they've lost the seal of God, they will be attracted to this star. They'll be controlled by this star that falls from the sky, right? Satan, Lucifer, whatever, right? And it talks about men disappearing like so much smoke, right? And we've seen how there's like new studies talking about the ions of a comet in its tail. And basically, like, this is proof that the double asteroid redirection test wouldn't work either, because anything that would even get close within the vicinity of like a comet, like, it ionizes everything around it from the heat and energy that's emanating off of this fucking thing. So it would incinerate that tin can that they're trying to shoot at it. There's no possible way it would actually work, scientifically or otherwise. And this ionizing process, I think, will happen to some people that are so negative. It'll ionize their particles and they'll disappear. They'll just fucking vaporize from the passing of this thing, right? And if not, we have a lot of people that have dreams where they're sucked up into the sky. I think this is why. This would be, your rapture, right? The rape and capture of people and their souls. This bottomless pit opening up. And the ones that don't do that, well, you got the angels of God that are going to come filing in and busting ass on anybody that is dark and that's evil, right? It's judgment. They're coming to wage war on those who harm God's children. So when we humble ourselves, right, before the Lord, we essentially, by putting ourselves in that prone position like in Mecca, our hands, elbows, knees, feet, forehead all have lines in them, right? Maybe wrinkles if you're older. But these lines are actually grounding points of our body where electromagnetic energy, discharges. It enters and exits our body. These are like our grounding points, our connection points for our electromagnetic field that we generate, our aura. Right? So if we touch all of those points to the earth, which we know the Schumann resonance, which is the human resonance, is the equivalence to the frequency of love. Right? And earth is an anagram for heart. Right? E-A-R-T-H, H-E-A-R. Right? And T, right? Heart, earth. So if we connect to that frequency, and we have the frequency of love within us, and those grounding points, boom, 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 right, are connected to the earth, humbling ourselves, then we generate the electromagnetic field of love and wield the entire protection of the earth. As the poles reverse and as all this happens, we would be protected essentially from all of these things because we were connected to the earth and connected to the frequency of love, right? So it's kind of like a scientific way of getting around this. Now, if you're a dark piece of shit, I don't think it's going to matter what you connect to. You know what I mean? You could dig a 60-foot hole in the ground and your ass is being pulled out of that thing. So it is what it is, right? We're not all meant to live. Here we go. Have no fear. All who remain in the light of the grace will have no fear. They will pass through this great warning without suffering. I cannot promise you that none will die in this great warning, my child, for there will be death. Prepare now, for this is just a small measure, my children, of what you will have soon. The cause. Ooh, I see the huge ball and the sun. It's a ball of fire. And this is another ball of fire. And a piece now is broken off, and it's hitting the sun. And there, it's an explosion. Oh, I can't look. Everything seems so still, and I see people now holding on to the chairs in their houses. Everything's rocking. It's like the very foundation is rocking in the houses, and they're all frightened, and many are running into the streets. You guys, well, remember, like I've told you about my dream, my vision I had, and that's what it was when this planet popped up and like blocked the sun. Its moon was broken, right? And they're literally saying a piece is now broken off, right? Its moon was broken, and everyone was running with their hair on fire, into the streets. It's as though everything has exploded in the sky, the flash, and it's very hot, and it's very warm. It feels like a burning, and now the sky is very white. Colors, blues, purples. It's like a huge explosion. Now this voice, the voice, and the voice says, it's a voice within you. Your warning before chastisement. Flash, fire, and the voice within you. The final warning before chastisement. As the day follows night, so shall this warning follow soon. Beware of the sunrise. Do not look up to the sky. The flash. Beware of the sunrise. Do not look up to the sky. The flash. Close your windows. Draw your shades. Remain inside and do not venture outside your door, or you will not return. Pray. Prostrate yourselves upon your floors. Pray with arms outstretched and beg for mercy of your God the Father. Do not seek to receive your animals into your houses, for the animals of those who have remained of well spirit will be taken care of. Keep blessed candles, water blankets, and food within your home. The candles of those who have remained in the state of grace shall not be extinguished. But the candles in the homes of those who have given themselves to Satan shall not burn. Well, that would fucking suck, wouldn't it? Like, my candle won't light because I'm an evil ass. Sorry. Deep impact. It is from the merciful heart of the Father that you will receive a great warning. Man will feel that the very powers of the elements have shaken the very foundation of his being. So great will the impact of this warning from the Father. But none shall doubt it, that it has come from the Father. And remember the Hopi talk about in their prophecies that the Great Spirit will reveal his face in the sky, and that none will doubt, the existence of Creator, in the last days here. Believe what you see. You will receive a great majestic warning from the heavens. This will prepare you to either improve and strengthen your spirit, or you will become more hardened and farther from the light. Believe what you see and learn by it. Cataclysm. It is true that I give a final message, but I too could not give the date, only to warn the world that a great warning would come to mankind, and it would be a great cataclysm. And then there would be a great miracle, And after that, if nothing changes and man continues to offend the Father, he would have to start this terrible, terrible trial, for there will be a great war, and there will be a great, terrible chastisement. Wow. Think about this, man. You know, I feel like nobody's listened. If this was the point, nobody's gave a fuck. They're like, yeah, we don't care about your warnings, right? Okay, now let's look at some Nostradamus. Or let me see if I got one or two more of these over here before we hop into Nostradamus. We're going to wrap it up with Nostradamus. The prophecies of Alois Erlmeyer. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Boom. Future visions. On this page, statements of Alois Erlmeyer are listed, which refer to a big war in the future. Conrad Admire got these statements when discussing with Alois and published them later. In addition, also statements are listed with Conrad that did not publish, but indicated to a third person orally. These statements show an almost precise description of a large battle in the future. So, we're going to hear about this large battle. I've never heard of this particular prophet, Alois Erlmeyer. No, you don't recall your vision. Why can't you let the animals in? Are they radioactive? Well, I don't know what you... Oh, Jude, this is what you was talking about at the beginning of the show. If you're a dark piece of shit, God will still forgive you. I don't know. Don't look up. I know. Look, there was a girl that used to watch the channel all the time. Watched almost all the videos. Belonged to the community. Cool person. I text her and shit all the time. We were friends. She had a dream one time, and this is after I finally, I didn't tell people about my dream for years because I was afraid what people would think, right? I didn't want to look like a fucking Looney Tunes because I was already talking about so much crazy shit. And she says she had a dream, and in the dream, basically it was like a warning not to look up at the planet when it was in the sky. And she said that, she had a dream of me and that I was, standing there looking at this planet, and that she was in a spirit form above me, trying to scream at me and saying, don't look up, don't look up. And she woke up, and I'm like, well, why couldn't I look up? And she's like, I don't know, but in the dream it felt like if you did, it was all bad. Oh, come on, man. Let's do it. Alright. Now, everything calls peace, shalom. Then it will occur. A new Middle East war is up. Big naval forces are facing hostility in the Mediterranean. The situation is strained, but the actual firing spark is set on fire in the Balkan. I see a large one falling. A bloody dagger lies beside him. Then impact is on impact. 2 men kill a third high-ranked. They were paid by other people. The third murder occurred. Then the war starts. One of the murderers is a small black man, the other color with bright colored hair. I think it will be at the Balkans, but I cannot say exactly. The year before the war will be a fruitful year with much fruit and gain. After the murder of the third, it starts overnight. I see quite clearly 3 numbers, 2 8s and a 9. But I cannot say what it means and cannot state a time. 2 8s and a 9, dude. Trump 88, and then the 9 completion. That's weird. The war begins at sunrise. He comes along rapidly. The farmers sit in the pub playing cards when foreign soldiers look through the windows and doors. Quite black, an army comes from the east, but however, everything occurs very rapidly. I see a 3, but I do not know if it means 3 days or 3 weeks. It comes from the Golden City. The first woman begins at the blue water in the northwest and goes to the Swiss borders as far as Regensburg. No more bridges crossing the Danube. They do not come from the south of the blue water. Then impact is on impact. Mass units march from the east into Belgrade and move forward to Italy. Let's see. The airplanes drop a yellow powder between the Black Sea and the North Sea. Thus, a death strip is created straight from the Black Sea to the north, as wide as half of Bavaria. In this zone, no more grass can grow, let alone humans live. The Russian supply is interrupted. Dude, we are seeing, in the Black Sea right now with the Russians and all of that, crazy. Now, these boxes are satanic. When they explode, yellow and green dust or smoke arises, and everything that comes into contact to it is dead. It is a human, an animal, or a plant. The humans become quite black, and the meat fall off their bones so sharply is the poison. What the fuck, dude? It's the swarms of pigeons ascend from the sand. 2 herds achieve the combat area from west to southwest. The squadrons turn towards the north and cut off the course of the Third Army. From the east there are many caterpillars. But in the caterpillars everybody is already dead. Although the vehicles keep rolling on in order to gradually stop automatic. Here the pilots all throw off their small black boxes. They do explode before they touch the soil and spread a yellow or green smoke. When what comes in contact with this becomes dead, whether it's human, an animal, or plant. For 1 year, no organism is allowed to enter the area. Otherwise, it will expose itself to the largest mortal danger. And this is what makes the meat fall off their bones. By a natural catastrophe or something similar, the Russians suddenly evade to the north. Around Cologne, the last battle has started. At the Rhine, I see a half moon, which wants to devour everything. The horns of the sickle want to close. What this means, I don't. Then they are flying to the north. In the center, there is a mark. There lives nothing anymore. No human, no animal, no grass. They fly quite north where their spearhead had come in and do cut off everything, so they will be murdered. Nobody from these 3 armies will come back home anymore. But then as I see someone flying coming from the east who drops something into a large water so that strange will happen. The water fills itself as high as a tower and falls down. Then everything is inundated and flooded. There is an earthquake, and the half of the big island will sink. Action will not last long. I see 3 lines, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. I don't know exactly, but it won't last long. A single airplane which comes from the east throws something into the large water. Then the water lifts itself as high as a tower and falls down. Everything is inundated. There is an earthquake. The southern part of England slips into the water. 3 large cities will be ruined. One will be destroyed by the water. The second is located so high in the sea that you can only see the church tower, and the third falls in. One part of England disappears. When the thing falls into the sea, which the pilot drops, then the water lifts itself as high as a tower and falls down. What this thing is, I do not know. That's weird, man. My son, who had a dream about, America being invaded and stuff, and just kind of like burning everywhere, was talking about Russian and Chinese armies and going door to door, killing everybody. And at the end of his dream, he said he's seen a cigar-looking object that hit the earth. And it landed in the ocean. The countries at sea are endangered by the water heavily. The sea is very unrest. The waves go as high as a house. It foams as it would cook or boil the underground. Islands disappear and climate changes. As part of the proud, islands sink. If the thing falls into the sea, which the pilot drops, then the water lifts itself as high as a tower and falls down. What this thing is, I do not know. When it comes, I do not know. The January will be warm at some time, and the mosquitoes will dance. It can be that we already come into a time when there won't be a normal winter at all, like we do not know him now. During the war, the big darkness comes, which lasts 72 hours, 3 days of darkness. It will become dark at day during the war. Then a hail impact consisting of lightning and thunder breaks out, and an earthquake vibrates the earth. Please do not go out of the house at this time. The lights do not burn except candlelight. The current stops. Who inhales the dust gets a cramp and dies. Do not open the windows. Cover it completely with black paper. All open standing water becomes poisonous, and all open standing meals, which are not locked in locked doses. Also, no meals in glasses because they would not cover it up completely. Outside, the death by dust goes around. Excuse me. Many humans die. After 72 hours, everything is over. But again, do not go out of the house. Do not look out the windows and keep the candlelight burning and pray. Overnight, there will die more humans than in the 2 world wars before. What? And see, look, they're describing 3 days of darkness. They're describing, and this is something I've told you too, when World War III starts and they're out at sea, that's when the hail and shit starts falling from the sky, according to Nostradamus. And they're saying that this dust, which we were talking about with the Zetas, right, the red dust, is poisonous. Remember, it turns all the water wormwood, which is like radioactive, basically. And the reason that you don't go outside of the house during the 3 days of darkness is because you'll inhale it and it'll give you a cramp and you die. Now, do not open a window during the 72 hours. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. The rivers will have so few water that you can easily pass them. The cattle falls, the grass becomes yellow and dry, the dead humans will become quite yellow and black. The wind drives the clouds of death to the east, and this is also like the hurricane and the evil winds and all this shit, right? The city with the iron tower becomes the victim of its own people. They ignite everything. Revolution is, and everything is going wildly. The islands before the coast sink, because the water is quite wild. I see large holes in the sea, which will be filled when the enormous waves return. The beautiful city at the blue sea sinks almost completely in the sea and in the dirt and in the sand, which the sea ejects. I see 3 cities sinking in the south, in the northwest, and in the west. The large city with the high iron tower is on fire. But this has been done by its own people, not by those which came from the east. And I can exactly see that the city is made equal to the ground. And in Italy, it is going wildly too. They kill many people there, and the Pope flees. But many clergymen will be killed, and many churches collapse. Damn. I wonder what the city tower. What would the city with the iron be like? DC? You know what I mean? New York. What would be the city with the iron tower? You know, we know that DC's got the giant, Washington Monument. Is this what they're talking about? The beautiful city on the coast. Los Angeles, right, sinking into the ocean. This is pretty wild. If Russia, a revolution breaks out and a civil war, the corpses are so much that you cannot remove them off the roads anymore. The cross comes to honor anew. The Russian people believe in God anew. The large ones among the party leaders commit suicide, and in the blood the great guilt is washed off. I see a red mass mixed with yellow faces. It is a general riot and horrible killing. Then they sing the Easter song and burn candles in front of sacred pictures, but the prayer of the Christianity, the monster of hell, dies. All the young people believe anew in the intercession of God's mother. After the victory, an emperor is crowned by the fleeing pope. An emperor is crowned by the fleeing pope? What, like an antichrist? How long will this last? I don't know. I see 3 nines. 999. The third 9 brings the peace. If everything is over, a part of the inhabitants have died and the people are frightened of God anew. The law which brings death to the children becomes invalid after the clearing. The peace will be a good time. I see 3 crowns flashing, and gaunt old men will be our king. And the very old crown in the south comes to honor again. The Pope, who had not to flee across the water for a long period of time, returns, and when the flowers bloom on the meadows, he will return and mourn for his murdered brothers. After these events, a long, lucky time comes. Those who will experience it will be very happy and praise themselves lucky, but the people have to begin their fathers began. Is that the 1,000-year millennial reign or something? Perhaps. Let's start on some Nostradamus. And these are from Nostradamus quatrains. And we're going to touch on some of these that actually, speak to the same things that we've been talking about throughout the entire video, really. Right? This horrible war and all of these things that seem to be taking place. I don't know what you're saying about crypto, homeboy. I'm not pressed about nothing. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I would love it if people would stop trying to distract everyone from what I'm talking about. Seriously, that is really annoying and rude. And it does happen quite a bit, man. So, if you're in the chat, and thank you for saying that, I appreciate that. I don't mean to be a dick to nobody, but literally every time I go check the chat, I can't even finding comments about shit that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, and it's nonstop too. These. I think it's important that we focus on the task at hand, or else we don't learn anything. We don't learn anything. We're just on some idle bullshit, right? And that's not going to serve nobody, right? It's supposed to be iron sharpening iron, and people get mad when I don't look at the chat. Well, that's why, right? That's why, because people come in here and they want to, talk about fucking, what they did at the goddamn supermarket, and that's, which is your priority or your prerogative, but damn, dude, come on now. Yeah, well, it's cool. Bye, Felicia. Well, thank you for pointing it out, man. I don't like to be a jerk, and I'm not even mad at nobody, but, come on now. For real. Okay. A horrible war, I'm trying, and I am checking the chat, though, so if you guys have comments and stuff, that's what I'm looking for, actually, is confirmation on the things I'm talking about, and you can give me links and more directions to go, but I've had to block 2 fucking sex bots in this show, and then, It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. And that's called a distracting spirit, by the way. Right? Whenever you're speaking on truth, right? And this is what they do to this channel nonstop. You notice earlier in the show, you start building momentum, more and more people in the chat, and I had, about double the people. I was looking at all the chats just a little bit ago, and sex bots coming in, and then people talking about, bullshit that's not even related, it takes the focus away. We lose our towards, so. Canada and Australia in the house, buffering like crazy. Let's see if we can't fix that. Hopefully I can get. I apologize. Well, isn't it funny though how, I literally fucking try to get the chat straightened out, and now it starts buffering. That's great. See if we can get this fixed. I do apologize to everybody. What in the fuck? Let me know if we can get, if everything's cool. Let me check it myself here. Looks, maybe you have, okay, I think if it's buffering, what you need to do is just refresh, maybe. Yeah, it looks like we're good now. Looks like we're good now. So just refresh, and please, everyone in the chat, make sure to hit that thumbs up for me, no matter which channel you're on, whether you're on the backup or the main, because that helps a lot. So, all right, let's go into this. Hopefully, the chat catches itself back up and shit. So. Okay, Nostradamus, horrible war. And this is 955. A horrible war which is being prepared in the West. The following year the pestilence will come. So very horrible that young nor old nor animal may survive. Blood, fire, Mars, Jupiter, in France. It says maybe it has to do with the yellow powder that the German voyant Alois Ermer said that would be sprayed and dispersed by rockets by NATO armies and its protective belt of land east to Warsaw in Poland, beginning from Kaliningrad, which is the former Eastern Russia, to Slovakia, then to Transylvania and Romania, ending near the mouth of the Danube River and the Black Sea. This in order to protect Eastern Europe from a Russian invasion with tanks. Really interesting, considering that we just read that guy's prophecies, right? And it's, connecting to that. How crazy. When, after August 2019, and we remember this. Wow, guys, I did videos on this particular celestial alignment. August 2019, the Arab prince, Mars, Sun, Venus, Leo. Kingdom of the church will succumb by sec. Byzantium and Egypt, the true serpent, will invade. Towards Persia, almost 1 million men. Let's see what they say here. According to the famous interpreter John Hogue, the Arab prince is Mohammed bin Salman. His initials MBS or Mabus. But in this astronomical quatrain, Arab principle could also be referred to the moon. Remember, the Arab prince, Sun, Mars, Venus, and Leo. We had this celestial alignment in August of 2019, and what happened? The Arab prince, which would have been who John Hogue was talking about, Saudi Arabia, and the drone attacks in the oil fields of Saudi Arabia by Iran, if you guys will remember, which brought the United States into the Strait of Hormuz. Is that what it's called? The Strait of Hormuz. And brought in the B-52 nuclear bombers and everything, and ended up breaking the JCPOA or whatever, the Joint Nuclear Treaty, the Iran nuclear deal. Ended up breaking the deal and all this shit with Trump in the House, right? Very crazy. And I think, Mavis would be closer to someone else, not that guy. Anyways, and Persia is representative of Iran. The Arab Prince representative of Saudi Arabia. I did a video on the Sun, Mars, Venus, and Leo, this celestial alignment, showing the start of all of this, like a timeline here. Now, in the Cyclades, in Perinthus and Larissa, in Sparta, all Peloponnesus, such as great famine, plague through false dust. 9 months it will last, and throughout the entire peninsula, through false dust. Could this be the red dust of, the comet, right, that Nancy Lighter was talking about? Or could this be nano dust? Right, that's being sprayed from fucking chemtrails. That's actually killing crops and trees and all of this. Remember, the U.S. government was just sending out letters to private farmers in Nebraska and shit, asking them to destroy their crops. And if they didn't want to mow them down, they were offering to put Agent Orange on them. So, just pointing that out. It says fake dust in Ermeyer's yellow powder could be Iprite, an irritating, blistering, blinding, and suffocating molecule that harms the DNA of any human, animal, or plant, decreasing also blood white cell count and making easier the transmission of infectious diseases like anthrax. You can tell this is dated, right? Anthrax. Strange, but think about what's happening to people that are taking the mark of the beast right now. They're developing ADE, right? The autoimmune deficiency. Strange if they drop something like that just straight fucks you up. If you have ADE, you're a dead duck for sure, right? Pretty wild. The yellow powder, that, how about it? Oriental and his lands. The Oriental will come out of his seat, crossing the Apennine Mountains, seeing Gaul, and transported through the sky, the waters, and the snows, and shall strike everyone with his lance. France, but also northern Italy applies also to Hitler, since he was born in Österreich, that we call Austria, and in Vienna, the Christian relic named Longarus Lance, the lance of a Roman soldier that pierced through the side of Jesus Christ. The Oriental will come out of his seat, crossing the Apennine Mountains, transported through the sky, the waters and the snows, and shall strike everyone as lunch. Okay, now this to me, I don't agree with this theory they've come up with, for this actually. I believe when they're talking about the Oriental, could they be talking about, the dragon, right? This is, the last time that it was, I forget the exact name. You guys can help me out in the chat if you want, but the Great Dragon. Oh, it's good to hear you too. I do apologize if there's buffering or whatever. I don't know why the fuck it would be buffering. Ah, man, I'm sorry. Just try to refresh. I do apologize. apologize. Let me, but the Oriental, right? The red dragon of China, right? The dragon comet, like this has already happened in the past, right? So maybe he's referring to, its passing. And will come out of his seat. Remember, the Lamb who sits on the throne, right? We have pointed out, the cloud is shaped like a throne and all of this. That's what the dragon, the Ancient of Days, come out of his seat, off the throne, right? Out of the clouds. Crossing the mountains, transported through the sky, right? So he's moving through the air. With waters and snows, and shall strike everyone with his lance, and the lance referring to the thing that pierced Christ, right? Striking everyone in their hearts, right? With fear, with trembling, right? Attacking, those that, maybe both good and bad people, but, attacking them with lance. That's what pierced Christ's heart, right? Remember? And we could see the Bible says that men's hearts will fail them for fear, right? So, just saying. Okay. The kingdom stretches across Europe. The city burns and swords slice. The great one of Asia, through land and sea, invades with a big army. That blue Persia crosses are driven to death. Where'd the fucking thing go? Hold on, guys. Fished with diseased letter. It would also be global in its reach. In this case, I believe it's World War III he's describing. After this,